Hey there, and welcome. Tonight, we're drifting into one of the oldest questions anyone has ever asked. A question that sits quietly at the bottom of every other question. It doesn't shout for attention. It doesn't promise an answer. But it waits. It lingers. And when the room is quiet enough, and the mind is soft enough, it begins to hum. Why is there something rather than nothing? Not just stars and planets and people, but anything at all. We won't rush through it. We won't try to solve it. This is a story that moves slowly, like dust settling on the windowsill, like light fading from the sky. It's not about finding the ending. It's about resting in the wonder of the beginning. But before we drift deeper, if this kind of quiet curiosity feels like home to you, feel free to like and subscribe, only if it helps you feel more connected to these soft, thoughtful journeys. And if you'd like, let me know in the comments where you're listening from tonight. There's something beautiful about wondering together, even from far apart. Now, take a breath. Let the lights dim. Let the noise of the day fall away. Let your thoughts spread out like a slow sky, and let's begin. Before everything, there was what? Try to imagine nothing. Not empty space. Not a blank room. Not a quiet vacuum floating in the cold. But nothing. No matter, no time, no energy, no space to put anything in. Not a place waiting to be filled, but the complete absence of everything that could be filled. It's almost impossible. The mind keeps trying to slip something in, an image, a shape, a backdrop. But true nothing doesn't even allow the backdrop. It's not black. It's not white. It's not still. It's not moving. It's not there. And yet, from that nothing, something appeared. At least that's what we think. Most scientists agree that the universe as we know it began about 13.8 billion years ago, in a moment we call the Big Bang. Not an explosion in space, but the beginning of space itself, of time, of energy and possibility. In less than the blink of an eye, reality stretched open. Particles cooled, atoms formed, galaxies spun, stars caught fire, planets tumbled into orbit, and eventually, somehow, you were born into this soft, spinning world with lungs and questions and stories in your skin. But still, why? Why should anything exist at all? Why did the laws of physics ever become the laws of physics? Why was there a Big Bang instead of endless, silent nothing? Was there something before the beginning? Can there even be a before without time? These questions are too big for answers, but they are perfect for bedtime because they remind us that not knowing is okay. That mystery is not a problem to fix. It's a place to rest, a quiet place, a sacred place. There are many theories. Some physicists say that the universe sprang from a quantum vacuum, a kind of nothing that still trembles with possibility. Others suggest that our universe is one of many, that existence bubbles constantly, with endless realities rising and falling like waves on some unimaginable sea. Some say that time loops, that there was never a beginning, just an eternal unfolding. And some, in the gentlest of ways, wonder if perhaps nothing was never possible at all. That something has to be. That existence is simply what existence does. We don't know. And maybe we don't need to, because in the not knowing, there is awe. And awe, even more than certainty, is what makes us human. You can feel it when you look at the stars, when you hear a child laugh, when you listen to wind in the trees and realize you're here, alive, breathing, a piece of this strange, beautiful something. You weren't here 14 billion years ago. You didn't choose to be part of this story. And yet, here you are. You are not outside of the mystery. You are the mystery. So tonight, let yourself float in it. Let your breath move like the early universe, expanding gently without urgency. Let your thoughts drift through the soft darkness like galaxies finding their shape. There is no need to answer, only to wonder, only to rest. Sleep now, small spark of the infinite. You are not nothing. You are not alone. You are the question and the answer, unfolding quietly in time. And the universe, this great, impossible something, holds you even now. Is absolute nothingness even possible? Try again to imagine nothing, but this time, hold the thought a little longer. Strip away the stars. Strip away the space they live in. Take away time, so there's no before or after. No ticking, no waiting, no history. Now take away light. Not just the absence of it, but the concept itself. No color, no dark, no void to be dark within. Now take away the laws, gravity, momentum, the binding of particles. Take away matter. Take away energy. Now, take away the possibility of things being taken away, because even that requires a background. Now, you're closer. But even now, the mind rebels. Even now, it paints the edges of nothing with the idea of something. It imagines silence, but silence in relation to a sound. It imagines blackness, but blackness against light. The truth is, our minds are made inside of something. So we don't know how to picture a world where there is not. And yet, we ask, why wasn't there just that? Why wasn't there simply absence? No stage for a story, no rules to break, no space for a voice to echo, just pure, eternal stillness. Wouldn't that have been simpler? But maybe the question itself carries its own answer. Because to ask, why is there something rather than nothing, is to assume that nothingness is the default, that the absence of being is more natural than being itself. But what if it's the other way around? What if being is the natural state? What if the real mystery isn't why something came from nothing, but why we ever thought nothing could be? In physics, nothing is rarely truly nothing. Even a vacuum, an empty region of space, is buzzing with quantum potential. Tiny particles flicker in and out of existence, borrowing energy from nothing for the briefest moments before vanishing again. It's called quantum fluctuation. And in some theories, the universe may have begun with just such a ripple, a flicker in the fabric of possibility, a burst of energy from an unstable nothing, a beginning that required no cause, just a field of probabilities playing their endless games. But this only pushes the question deeper. Where did the field come from? Why does probability exist at all? Some thinkers, philosophers, and physicists alike have wondered if nothingness is unstable, that maybe pure absence simply can't hold, that even in the absence of everything, the conditions for something press forward, that the universe wasn't a decision or a mistake, but a natural result of the fact that non-existence is somehow insufficient. It's dizzying, isn't it? To lie here, wrapped in blankets, your body warm, and your mind wandering through concepts so wide they stretch past language. You, with your heartbeat and your memories and the sound of your breath, wondering why there is a world in which you could have a heartbeat, wondering how atoms learn to arrange themselves into thought, into awareness, into wonder. And here you are, wondering still. Maybe that's all that's ever been asked of us. Not to solve the mystery, but to feel it, to carry it like a quiet flame, to walk gently through the world with that light in our chest, knowing it can't be explained, but that it matters. Tonight, you don't need to understand the mechanics of the universe. You don't need to reach for scientific theories or spiritual metaphors. You can simply lie here and know you exist. That in all the possible arrangements of particles, in all the imagined timelines and untaken paths, this one happened, and it includes you. You are something, not an accident, not a shadow of what could have been. You are here, and that is enough. So let the question settle now. Let it float beside you like a feather, not to be caught, not to be solved, just noticed. Let the wonder be its own answer. Let your body be the proof of the mystery. Let your breath move like a universe unfolding. Slow, quiet, patient. You don't need to fill the silence tonight. You are the something that came from nothing. And you are safe to sleep in that impossible grace. How did awareness emerge from silence? There is a kind of hush that exists before awareness. Not silence, exactly, but the absence of knowing. Before there was language, before there was memory, before there was even the idea of a beginning, there was something still. And then, at some point, whether measured in seconds or eons, something shifted. The universe stirred, not all at once, not loudly, but steadily. Molecules began to arrange themselves. Stars formed, elements fused, matter reached for structure, and eventually, one small corner of that vast unfolding opened its eyes, took a breath, and asked, "What am I?" This may be the greatest mystery of all. Not just that the universe exists, but that it knows it exists. That somehow, in a swirl of particles and gravity and heat, awareness bloomed. Not inserted from outside, not placed like a gift, but grown from within. Like a flower blooming on a planet that didn't know it was a garden. A consciousness shaped by time and pressure and chance, looking back on its own source and saying, "I am here." You are part of that blooming. Your ability to wonder, to lie awake and think about why anything exists at all, is not separate from the universe. It is the universe, thinking, wondering, feeling. You are not a visitor to this world. You are made of it. The atoms in your body were once inside stars. The thoughts in your mind are built from matter that floated through the silence for billions of years before settling into you. And somehow, those thoughts now ask questions that reach back beyond time. Why is there something rather than nothing? And now, why does that something know that it is? We don't fully understand how consciousness arises. We can measure brain waves. We can identify neurons. But the leap from matter to meaning, from biology to selfhood, is still invisible, still sacred. Some scientists believe it's an emergent property of complexity, that enough connections eventually lead to a mind. Others believe consciousness is more fundamental, that it doesn't come from the universe, but flows through it, like light through glass. Some spiritual traditions speak of awareness as the original force, present before creation, lingering in all things. Maybe there was never a time without awareness, or maybe awareness is what happens when the universe begins to reflect. What's more miraculous? That there is something, or that the something can see itself. When you look in the mirror, when you remember the sound of someone's laugh, when you feel joy for no reason at all. These moments are not interruptions of physics. They are the flowering of it. You are not a mistake in the system. You are the system learning to care, to notice, to feel. The universe awake inside itself, listening to the hum of its own presence through your ears, your breath, your dreams. And even now, as you lie here with your eyes closed and your body still, something in you continues to listen, to wonder. You are not doing this wrong. You are not late to the mystery. You are in it, right where you belong. So let that be enough tonight. Not because you understand it all, but because you have remembered, even for a moment, that you are not separate from it. You are not a stranger to the stars. You are made of the same fire, the same possibility, the same quiet question that echoes through space. Why? And maybe the answer is simply this: because something wanted to know itself, because something wanted to feel, because something stirred in the nothing, and what it became was you. Let your breath move slowly now. Let the question soften. Let the awe rest beside you like a friend. You are the awareness that rose from the quiet, and that awareness is allowed to sleep. Drift now, bright thread of consciousness. The universe is still unfolding, and you are part of its dreaming. Is existence an accident, a rule, or something deeper? The world doesn't ask your permission to exist. It just does. Whether you are watching or not, the stars burn. The ocean tides follow the moon. The atoms in your skin hum quietly in patterns too small to see. Life grows on mountains you've never touched. Light from long dead stars still travels toward us, slow and relentless. And all of it, all of this great orchestra of movement and matter and time persists, with or without an audience. But still, we can't help asking, why is this here at all? Why is there something instead of nothing? It's a question that lives beneath the others. Beneath, how does this work? Or what caused that is a deeper, quieter wondering. Why is there anything to wonder about at all? If there had never been a universe, no stars, no atoms, no minds, there would be no one to notice the silence, no one to ask, no one to feel its strangeness. And so the fact that you are here asking changes everything. Because now the silence has been interrupted. Now the nothing has been broken. Now something exists. And that something includes you. In this moment, this very moment, you are sitting at the edge of an ancient riddle. One that scientists, philosophers, poets, and mystics have all reached for in their own way. Some have tried to answer it with mathematics, others with stories. Some have prayed toward it, others have turned inward. But no matter the method, the mystery remains. The fact that there is something rather than nothing doesn't seem to have a single cause. No tidy explanation. It is, perhaps, the most fundamental miracle there is. Some thinkers suggest that nothingness isn't stable, that nothing isn't the simplest state, that maybe, like a field under pressure, nothingness folds in on itself, producing particles, sparks, energy. That maybe nothing can't help but become something, a kind of metaphysical restlessness, a vacuum that refuses to stay empty. But even if that's true, even if physics shows us that nothing is impossible, we're still left with the same soft echo. Why should the rules work that way at all? Why should there be a field? Why should possibility exist? Why should there be anything that gives birth to being? Others suggest that maybe there's a deeper truth, that existence is the default, that there was never truly nothing, only different kinds of something. And we are simply inside one version, one stretch of the great cloth of reality where the conditions are just right for suns and sleep and questions and skin. Then there are those who say we're asking the wrong question, that nothing was never an option, that something exists because it has to, that a reality without anything in it is not only impossible, it's meaningless. You can't speak of nothing without imagining a place for it to be. You can't think of absence without holding on to the idea of presence. Perhaps there is no way to mean nothing without invoking something. And maybe that's the secret. That the question folds in on itself. That the asking is part of the answer. That to even wonder why there is something proves that something exists. And that this something is capable of curiosity, of awe, of sleep. So what if the answer is simple, not scientific, not even philosophical, just gentle? What if there is something because something is beautiful? What if the universe didn't explode into being because it had to, but because it wanted to? Not in the way that a person wants, but in the way that a seed wants to sprout, in the way that music wants to be heard, in the way that light wants to be seen. That may sound like poetry, but sometimes poetry is closer to truth than analysis. It doesn't try to break things apart. It holds them, cradles them, lets them be. So what if you too are not here by accident? What if your existence is part of a larger longing? What if your thoughts, quiet and tender as they are the very reason the stars learn to burn? You don't have to believe in fate. You don't have to believe in gods or destinies. You only have to believe in the question. And to honor it by wondering gently with open hands. You don't need to know what came before the Big Bang. You don't need to solve the paradox of being. You don't need to untangle the mathematics of possibility. You are allowed to lie here, in the middle of it all, and simply feel the mystery settle in your bones. You are part of something, and that something is vast and strange and quiet and kind. So rest in that tonight. Let the need for answers dissolve. Let your breath rise and fall like tides that began before memory. Let your thoughts loosen like knots undone by the hands of time. Let your body feel how improbable it is to be here, to exist, to rest. And let that improbability be a comfort, because it means that even in a universe so large it holds galaxies beyond number, there is still space for you. You are not nothing. You are not random. You are a ripple in a story older than light. And the universe, in all its great silence, has room for your sleeping body, your dreaming mind, your wondering heart. So sleep now, small wonder. Not because the questions are answered, but because they are beautiful. And you are one of them. If something began, what was it that started the first sound? Long before humans gave names to stars, long before languages shaped thoughts, there was a moment. Not a bang in the way we think of explosions, but a blossoming. A silent blooming of space itself, unfolding not into emptiness, but creating emptiness as it went. Time began. Distance became measurable. Energy spilled forward, and in the stillness before movement, the first sound, the first gesture of being, was made. Though it made no noise, there was no air to carry vibration, no ear to receive it. And yet, something began. Was it a note, a pulse, a hum? Was it the universe whispering, "I am"? We don't know, but we feel it, that quiet resonance beneath everything. The sound that isn't sound, but the memory of being born. It echoes in our bones, in our breathing, in the way our hearts beat without permission, keeping time with something older than clocks. Every living thing carries that rhythm, the pulse of existence happening, not planned, not repeated, just happening moment by moment. And so, we ask again, what made the first something? If the universe had a beginning, what came before it? Can anything come before time? Can there be a when outside of time, a place outside of space? These questions dissolve even as we form them. Like trying to hold water in open hands. The words slip through, not because the question is meaningless, but because it is larger than meaning itself. In some traditions, the first sound is sacred. In Hindu philosophy, the sound Om is said to contain the vibration of creation. Not a sound made in time, but the sound that gives time its shape. In the Gospel of John, it is written, "In the beginning was the Word." The idea that sound, the spoken word, the voiced thought, was the first act of being. And science, too, in its own way, listens. It tells us the early universe rang with energy. It cooled. It stretched. It echoed. Microwave background radiation still hums through the cosmos, a faint whisper from 13.8 billion years ago, moving through everything, even you. The earliest light, the oldest breath, still here. And perhaps that is what we're made of, echoes. Not just particles and atoms, but the very rhythm of being itself. The sound of something becoming something. There are no firm answers. There are theories, yes, and mathematics. But beneath it all, there's a silence. Not an empty one, but a listening kind. The kind that holds the space for everything that followed. The kind that doesn't rush, doesn't fill, just holds. And that silence is still here. In the pause between your breaths. In the hush before a thought. In the space around your heartbeat as you lie in the dark. You don't have to chase it. You don't have to understand it. You only have to let it surround you, like a soft blanket, like a memory of something you never lived through, but still recognize. So what made the first sound? What stirred the stillness? What moved across the nothing and left a trail of stars? Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe it was love. Maybe it was simply possibility, unfolding itself because it could. Or maybe it never started at all. Maybe the sound was always there, waiting for ears to hear it. And maybe tonight, in this moment, you are hearing it now, not with your ears, but with your being. With the part of you that listens when all else is quiet. Sleep now, gentle listener. You are not separate from the song. You are one of its verses. You are a note in the melody of existence. You are the sound that followed the first sound. And still, you are listening. And still, the universe sings. Can emptiness contain the seeds of everything? Close your eyes, if they're not already closed, and picture the idea of nothing. Not emptiness, but absolute absence. No light, no dark, no space in which darkness could stretch. No breath, no wait, no before, no after. A silence that isn't quiet, but that never needed to be silent because there was nothing to make sound or hear it. A kind of non-existence that's hard to imagine from inside a body, from inside a universe that hums with constant buzzing being. And yet, some say it was from this strange nothing that the first whisper of something emerged. But what if that's not the whole story? What if nothing is a misunderstanding? What physicists sometimes call a false vacuum. Because in the deepest theories of quantum mechanics, nothingness isn't silent. It's unstable. It's restless. It flickers with energy, even when no particles exist. Virtual particles appear and vanish in pairs. Not because they're summoned, but because uncertainty allows them. Tiny fluctuations bubble beneath the surface of everything, including the vacuum of space. These are not metaphors. They're measurable effects, forces with no cause, blips of possibility happening where nothing should reign. And if nothing is unstable, then something is inevitable. The early universe may have begun as one of these fluctuations, an upwelling of possibility, a tremor in the 0 point, a runaway event in a sea of quantum foam. something shifted and expansion began. From what? We don't know. But the laws that allowed it to happen seem to be built into the fabric of possibility itself. And in that fabric, perhaps the question we keep asking, why is there something rather than nothing, has an answer so quiet it can only be felt. Because maybe there was never nothing. Maybe there was always potential. A possibility waiting to open its eyes. There are many theories. Some speak of eternal inflation, in which our universe is just one bubble in a much larger sea, forever generating new bubbles. Others speak of cyclical time, universes that expand and contract endlessly, collapsing only to explode again in a rhythm older than memory. And still others suggest that time itself is emergent, that the question of before the Big Bang may not even make sense, because before could be something the universe created after it arrived. But behind all the theories is a hush. Not a void, but a quiet richness. Not blankness, but depth. Not an absence, but a hidden fullness, like soil holding a seed just before the sprout begins. You were not there at the beginning, but you carry its echo in the rhythm of your breath, in the structure of your cells, in the thought that rises right now in your mind, wondering if perhaps you have always been part of the answer, because something exists, and that something includes you. You are not floating above reality. You are not an afterthought. You are reality, become aware. A thread in the great unfolding. Even in your sleepiness, even in your unknowing, even now. So maybe the better question isn't, why is there something? Maybe it's, what will we do with this something we've been given? Will we notice it? Will we rest in it? Will we wonder and feel and listen? Because something in the dark has made room for you. And that room is full, not of answers, but of invitation. So let the question rest for tonight. Let it curl up beside you, soft and unsolved. You don't need to figure it out. You only need to let it be close. Like the wind outside a window, like a low hum in a dream. Sleep now, small spark. You are not waiting to exist. You already do. And existence, in all its mystery, is glad that you do. Is existence speaking to us in a tongue we've forgotten? Before we had numbers or theories or telescopes, before atoms had names and stars had stories, we had something simpler. The feeling of being here. The awareness, deep and quiet, that says, I exist. Not in a complicated way, not even with words. Just the soft knowing that there is something rather than nothing, and that you are part of it. Somewhere along the way, we started trying to explain it, to break it apart, to diagram the sky, to ask, with equal wonder and confusion, why? And in that asking, we created languages, mathematical, philosophical, spiritual, each one reaching towards something older than language itself. Each one hoping to make sense of the fact that there is a world, and that it keeps going, and that we somehow get to be part of it. But what if existence isn't something we're meant to explain like a puzzle? What if it's something we're meant to listen to, like a song? Imagine for a moment that the universe is humming, not loudly, not even audibly, but beneath everything, the motion of planets, the drift of galaxies, the breath moving in and out of your chest, there's a kind of music, a pattern that isn't repeating, but is always returning. A language that doesn't need vocabulary to be understood. A rhythm that says only this: I am here. Physics tells us about patterns, the structure of matter, the consistency of natural laws, the strange precision with which particles arrange themselves. Some believe those laws are emergent, arising from deeper principles. Others think they're fundamental, baked into the fabric of reality like a code. But even the most precise formula doesn't answer the heart of the mystery. Why this music? Why these rules? Why should there be any at all? Why not chaos? Why not silence? Why not nothing? And still, the song continues. Not because it must, but because apparently it does. You're part of that song. You carry it in your blood, in your breath, in the low thrum of your thoughts. You don't need to understand the melody to be moved by it. You don't need to solve the rhythm to dance with it. And maybe, just maybe, you've always known it was there. Have you ever sat in stillness and felt something that couldn't be named? A kind of longing or joy or awe or sorrow, not caused by anything in particular, but simply there. That feeling may be the first language, the oldest response, the echo of something bigger than us, something that doesn't ask to be translated, only felt. Maybe the universe doesn't speak in sentences. Maybe it speaks in stars, in light, in time, in the fact that there is anything to speak of at all. And you don't need to interpret it. You are part of the message. Even now, as you lie quietly, without speaking, you are participating in the story. The fact that you exist is a line in that story, and the fact that you wonder about it is a kind of punctuation, a pause, a breath, a sacred moment of attention. So don't worry about the answers tonight. Don't force the questions into shapes. Let them float. Let them rise. Let them hum in the stillness of your breath. The song of being has no beginning, no final note, only presence, only unfolding. And in this moment, it is unfolding through you. Sleep now, little note in the cosmic symphony. You are not off key. You are not out of place. You are part of the melody. And the melody is glad that you are. Is the mystery not something we can step back from, but something we live inside? Imagine standing at the edge of a vast field, so wide you cannot see the other side, so quiet that even your own thoughts sound like echoes. You want to ask a question. Why is there something rather than nothing? But as you open your mouth to speak it, the wind takes it, the sky softens, and the field gently reminds you, you are not at the edge of the mystery. You are already inside it. The field is not something you observe from a distance. You are walking on it. You are breathing its air. You are made from its soil. The question you're asking is not something apart from you. It includes you, and that changes everything. We often imagine the mystery of existence as something we could stand outside of and look back on, as if we were watching the universe from a safe distance, as if we could press pause, squint our eyes, and say, "Ah, now I see how it all fits together." But maybe there is no outside. Maybe to ask why there is something rather than nothing is to ask it from within the something. Maybe our minds, our questions, our very ability to wonder are part of the structure of what exists, not observers of it, but expressions of it. You are not outside of being. You are not an alien to the universe. You are not looking through a window at reality. You are woven into it. And when you ask these big, impossible questions, they are not mistakes. They are part of the unfolding. Like waves asking about the ocean, like fire wondering about heat, like breath asking where it came from. So perhaps the reason the question never quite resolves is because it's not a problem to be solved. It's a mirror. Every time you reach out for the why, you touch your own reflection. You realize that to ask is to participate, that to wonder is to be alive, and that existence doesn't owe you an answer. It offers you an invitation. Not to stand above it, but to belong to it. It's strange, isn't it, to realize that every piece of you, every cell, every dream, every forgotten memory is part of the very mystery you are trying to hold. That when you ask why the universe exists, you are really asking, why am I here to ask anything at all? And the mystery answers not with words, but with a soft rhythm, a heartbeat, a breath, a flicker of thought, the quiet weight of your head resting on your pillow. This is not a thought exercise. It's a lived experience. You don't need to solve it to honor it. You only need to notice it. That noticing, quiet, tender, unhurried, is enough. So tonight, instead of reaching outward, reach inward. Instead of trying to find the edges of the question, rest in its center. Instead of seeking an exit, let yourself lie down in the middle of it and sleep. Because you are not here to escape the mystery. You are here to be part of it. You are not above the question. You are a line of poetry written by it. You are not separate from being. You are being, aware of itself for a moment in time. And that is a miracle. So let your breath be the answer for now. Let your stillness be the response. Let the ache to know soften into a lullaby. And let your sleeping body rest in the truth that you are not lost in the universe. You are the universe, asking itself the oldest question. And for a while, dreaming gently in its arms. Could nothing ever have been real? Or is it just an idea? There's something oddly comforting about the idea of nothing. A perfect silence. A blankness untouched by worry, or gravity, or time. A place with no weight, no memory, no beginning, no end. And yet, the more we try to imagine it, the more it slips away. Because even the thought of nothing is still something. A shadow cast by the light of being. A concept shaped by minds that have never, ever known true absence. You've never touched nothing. You've never seen it, not really. Even when the lights go out, your body hums with breath. Even in sleep, Your thoughts ripple like soft tides beneath the surface. Even in quiet, there's the presence of air, of space, of waiting. Nothing, it seems, may not be real. Not in the way we imagine. Not as a possible state the universe almost chose, but maybe only as a word, an idea born from contrast. When we say nothing, we mean not this, not what we see, not what we feel, not what we've come to understand, but that's still a kind of relationship. A definition shaped by the very thing it denies. And perhaps that's the truth hidden in the question. Why is there something rather than nothing? Maybe there could never have been nothing to begin with. Maybe what we call nothing is simply a misunderstanding of a deeper fullness, like the space between stars, not empty, but rich with potential. Like the silence before music, not absent, but brimming with anticipation. Even the void in space isn't really void. It vibrates, it flexes, it responds. The vacuum is full of fields, energy that cannot be seen, but shapes everything. Virtual particles flicker in and out of awareness. Quantum fields dance in perfect uncertainty, and in some interpretations, the whole of existence may have blossomed from such a field. Just one fluctuation, allowed by the rules of probability, rising from nothing, if nothing can even be said to exist. If that's true, then maybe nothing isn't the opposite of being. Maybe it's the soil from which being grows. Not an absence, but a preparation. Not a void, but a veil. And what lies behind that veil? We don't know. Maybe we can't. But still, we reach. We stretch our minds to touch the edge of absence, only to find presence waiting there, every time. And you are part of that presence. You are not the space between the stars. You are the light that moves through it. You are the awareness that refuses to vanish. The consciousness that insists on noticing. The mystery that dreamed itself awake. There's beauty in that insistence. That even in a universe that could have been nothing, there is you, soft and thinking and curious, and your wondering is not a mistake. It is the universe folding in on itself in awe. So tonight, you don't need to chase the idea of nothing. You don't need to fear it. You don't need to solve its riddle. Let it be what it is, a shape drawn by the outline of everything that is. And let what is be enough. Your bed, your breath, your soft, tired mind. Your body gently resting in the arms of gravity and time. Sleep now, not because the mystery has closed, but because it has opened wide enough to hold you. You are not disappearing into silence. You are cradled in being. You are part of the answer, simply by existing. And nothing could be more real than that. If we could answer it fully, would we still need to ask it? What if the question, why is there something rather than nothing, isn't meant to be answered with a sentence, a theory, or an equation? What if it's not a doorway we walk through once and leave behind, but a path we're meant to walk again and again? A question not to be solved, but to be lived inside. A question that doesn't shrink the more we ask it, but grows wider, becomes richer, every time we whisper it into the stillness. Because maybe it's the asking that matters most? Maybe this question is part of what makes us who we are. We are not the only creatures who breathe, or move, or feel pain, but we are, as far as we know, the only ones who stop in the middle of life to wonder what life even is. The only ones who look up at a star and ask why there is a sky. The only ones who hold a newborn in their arms and feel, beneath the joy, a soft ache that whispers, "How is any of this even possible?" This kind of wonder isn't a weakness. It's not a sign that we're confused or lost. It's a quiet strength, a way of staying open to mystery, a way of keeping the heart soft when the mind wants to rush ahead. And the people who've asked this question before us, philosophers, scientists, poets, monks, they weren't all searching for the same thing. Some were reaching for God, some were reaching for patterns. Some just wanted to sit in the silence and feel it breathe. And now, it's your turn, not to solve what they could not, but to hold the question, even for a little while, to cradle it, to sit with it, to feel how deeply human it is to not know. To love anyway, to live anyway, to keep going anyway. The question lives in every part of us. It's in the spaces between our thoughts. It's in the pause between breaths. It's in the silence after a loved one says goodbye, and the stillness after laughter. It's in the quiet moment before you fall asleep, when your body is heavy and your mind floats between knowing and forgetting. And sometimes that's when it's loudest. That's when the question rises, not to haunt, but to hold. It's not asking for an answer. It's offering you a place to rest. You exist, and so does this question. And maybe that's no coincidence. Maybe they are made of the same stuff. This ache to understand, and the universe itself. Maybe asking is a way of being part of the unfolding. Maybe the question is the thread that connects us to each other, to the stars, to every life that ever paused to wonder, why? So if you're here tonight, lying in a quiet room, thinking about the mystery, not with fear, but with softness, you're not alone. You are part of something ancient, a lineage of wonder, a family of not knowers, of gentle seekers, of beings who, against all odds, opened their eyes in a world that doesn't explain itself and loved it anyway. And that love is enough. That wonder is enough. That question, asked in the dark with no one to hear it but the stars, is enough. So sleep now, little seeker. Let the question lie beside you like a second pillow. Let it whisper, you don't need to know. You only need to be. Let your breath rise and fall like the earliest tides. Let your body rest in the truth that you are here, that you are something, that you are part of all that is. And that is a mystery deeper than any answer, deeper than nothing, deeper than the beginning. It is now. It is you. It is this moment. And it is enough. What happens when something begins to notice it exists? Before stars formed, before planets spun, before the slow dance of matter shaped galaxies and oceans and bone, there was a kind of light that had no name. Not light like the sun, and not brightness you could see with eyes. There were no eyes. But a light in the sense of emergence. of unfolding, of something stirring where stillness once reigned, a soft glow of becoming. And from that becoming, the universe learned to notice, slowly, clumsily, patiently. It noticed through molecules arranging into motion, into memory, into minds, and eventually it noticed through you. This is the strange and beautiful thing about being, that from a world that could have been still came a world that wonders, that asks, that dreams, that looks into the dark and doesn't run, that lies in bed as you are now and whispers the question, why is there anything at all? Why is there something instead of nothing? Why do I wake up each day into a world that could have been empty? Maybe the moment that first light rose was not the moment particles formed, but the moment awareness blinked open inside them. Maybe the Big Bang wasn't the only beginning. Maybe there are many beginnings, millions of quiet sparks igniting across time. The moment a child feels wonder for the first time, the moment someone looks up and realizes they are alive in a world that didn't need them, but somehow holds them anyway. You are not just alive. You are aware of being alive. And that changes everything. Because existence isn't just about matter. It's about meaning. And meaning can't be measured in weight or speed or heat. It can't be written in an equation. But it can be felt in a soft breeze across your face, in the way your chest rises and falls when no one is looking, in the ache you feel when something beautiful passes and you don't know why it moved you. That ache is part of the light. The first light, the light of noticing. And that noticing is older than memory, older than language, older than stars. You are that light, looking back at itself. You are not separate from it. You are its latest shape, its latest form, a momentary flare in the long unfolding of presence. And so, when you ask, why is there something rather than nothing? What you're really asking is, why do I exist? Why am I allowed to notice? Why is there a me here at all? And the answer is not a sentence. It is this moment, this breath, this quiet room. It is your hand resting on your stomach. It is the rhythm of your heartbeat. It is the hush of night that seems to hold you, even when you're alone. Existence isn't asking to be understood. It's asking to be felt, to be honored, to be seen. And you, just by being here, are doing that already. So, let the mystery glow beside you now, not as a puzzle to solve, but as a presence to rest inside. You don't need to hold the whole question. You don't need to reach the end of the thought. You only need to stay present for the wonder, and let that be your answer. Sleep now, small flame. You are the light that emerged from silence. You are the noticing that turned nothing into something. You are the soft echo of the first breath of being. And the night holds you gently, as if it remembers, as if it always has. Was there ever a time without wonder? Or is wonder the reason anything exists at all? Close your eyes for a moment, not just because it's night, not just because your body is tired, but because the question we're stepping into now lives best in the dark, the soft kind of dark, Not the scary kind. The kind that wraps around you like a blanket. The kind that feels like deep soil, full of something not yet born. The kind that lets things grow quietly, without needing to be seen. Now imagine this: a reality before time. Not a past moment. Not a before you were born memory, but a kind of pre-memory. Before clocks, before causes. Before the word before meant anything at all. In that space, or whatever we might call it, there were no stars, no particles, no dimensions, not even silence, not even space for silence. Just not yet. And then something. Not a flash, not a bang, just being. Not in time, but alongside its birth. Not a thing placed into a room, but the moment the room itself was made. Some say this was a quantum fluctuation. Others say it was the breaking of symmetry. Some say it was God. Some say it was math. But whatever it was, or is, it gave rise to everything else. It made possible the rising of heat and structure, gravity and spin, the stacking of atoms into molecules, of molecules into bodies, and of bodies into minds. But what came first, matter or meaning? Because even before humans walked the earth, even before life itself, this unfolding universe moved with an odd kind of elegance. Not random, not wild, but patterned, balanced. A slow choreography. A whisper of potential becoming form. And eventually, that form became curious. It blinked open. It listened. It asked. So maybe the question, why is there something rather than nothing, wasn't born after the universe? Maybe it was born with it. Maybe wonder itself is part of the fabric. Maybe the universe was always reaching toward the ability to ask. Maybe this question didn't interrupt being. It completed it. And you are one of the places where that question took root, where it blooms even now in the quiet spaces behind your eyes. You carry that ancient inquiry, not like a burden, but like a thread, a pulse, a beat that reminds you, this is all so strange, and so beautiful, and so real. What if the reason there is something instead of nothing is that something is capable of wonder, and nothing is not? What if wonder is the reason reality became reality at all? Not a side effect of brains, but the original movement? Not an accident, but a cause? It's a wild thought, one with no proof, no theory, just a soft glow of meaning. But maybe that glow is enough. Maybe the fact that you can feel it matters more than whether you can explain it, because meaning doesn't always arrive in answers. Sometimes it arrives in questions that stay open, like windows. And this one, the one we keep returning to, is the most open of all. Let it stay open. Let it float. Let it shine gently from the corner of your thoughts. Not demanding, not urgent, just present. Like moonlight on water, like wind through tall grass, like a name you've almost remembered. And tonight, as you rest, know this: you are not apart from that glow. You are not standing outside the question. You are part of its unfolding. You are one of the places where the universe wonders about itself. And that wondering is sacred. It doesn't need to be finished. It doesn't need to lead anywhere. It is enough that it is happening. You are proof that there is something rather than nothing. You are the breath in the silence, the light behind closed eyes, the thought that stirs before sleep. So let yourself drift now, not away from the question, but deeper into it. Let it cradle you. Let it carry you. Let it be the soft rhythm that rocks you gently into stillness. You are here. You are something. You are wonder, made real. And the mystery welcomes your rest. If existence is so vast, why does this tiny life feel so meaningful? There are stars so far away, their light hasn't reached us yet, not even after billions of years. There are galaxies beyond number, clusters and filaments that stretch like spider webs across the map of all we know, tracing the contours of a universe we can't fully see. The scale is staggering, the size of everything that is unimaginable. And then there's you, lying here, in the quiet, breathing, thinking, wondering. And yet, somehow, this moment, this tiny sliver of awareness, feels important, feels real, feels like it matters. Why? How can a being so small in a universe so large carry the weight of such big questions? How can a brief, flickering life like yours feel the gravity of wonder, of love, of mystery? If you are made of stardust, and you are, why does that dust know it exists? Why does it care? Maybe it's because meaning isn't measured in miles, or in years, or in mass. Maybe meaning is something that appears only in moments like this, moments where something fragile and aware touches the edge of the infinite and feels it touch back. Because no star has ever asked why it burns. No mountain has ever wondered if it is real. But you do. You ask. You feel. And maybe that feeling is where the vastness and the intimacy meet. The philosophers call it existential weight, not heavy like sorrow, but heavy like depth, like the sense that you are not only alive, you are within something that holds you, something that listens, something that matters, even if you never find the answer, even if the question echoes back in silence, because silence can be sacred too. We often expect big questions to bring big answers. We imagine a flash of clarity, a revelation, something that closes the loop. But maybe this question, why is there something rather than nothing, was never meant to be closed. Maybe it's not a door, but a sky. Maybe it's not about clarity, but closeness, about sitting under the stars and knowing you are a part of them, not in theory, not as a metaphor, but in truth. Your body is made of elements forged in ancient stars. Your breath echoes the rhythm of tides pulled by a moon that formed in the chaos of early Earth. Your thoughts are electrical whispers in a soft, wet brain made from carbon that was once drifting through space. You are not separate from the vastness. You are its latest thought, its newest moment. So yes, you are small, but you are also the whole thing. Folded in, breathed into, aware of itself just for a moment. And in that moment, you carry a weight no star can hold. The weight of wonder. The weight of asking. You don't need to explain the universe to belong to it. You already do. You are part of its breath, its heartbeat, its dreaming. So, let this moment be enough. Let the mystery settle over you like a soft sky. Let your thoughts drift not into nothing, but into the deep, slow something that has always held you. Sleep now. Let the stars be stars. Let your breath return to stillness. Let your mind fold into the quiet that came before the questions, before the language, before the need to know. You are not lost. You are the place where the question lives, and the universe is listening, not with ears, but with space, with time, with presence. And tonight, it is glad you are here. What would it mean if the universe had chosen not to be? Let's sit with it. The possibility, no, the impossibility of absolute nothing. No stars, no time, no light or darkness, no space in which something could appear. No could at all. Not a pause before a beginning. Not a rest between two movements. Not silence. Not a blank. But nothing. A state with no edge and no center, no here, no when, no waiting. Just the absence of everything. And now, imagine that this version, our version, had never arrived, that the nothing had remained nothing, that it had held its ground and refused to spark. What would that mean? What would it mean for there to be no meaning? No one to ask, no one to wonder, no one. No concept of asking or meaning or existence or concept. A reality so empty, even the word reality wouldn't apply. It's hard to imagine. Not because it's complex, but because it denies everything our mind is built to do. You think with symbols, with pictures, with echoes of sensation. But in true nothing, there is no mind to hold a thought, no vessel for contrast. It is not black. It is not blank. It is not waiting. It is never. And yet, we are here, and that simple truth makes all the difference. There is not nothing. There is something. Not only that, but that something asks. It bends inward. It listens. It reaches for itself in the dark. We don't know why the spark appeared. We don't know if it had to. Maybe the laws of probability forced it. Maybe the tension in the fabric of quantum nothingness reached a tipping point. Maybe it was inevitable. Maybe it was accidental. Maybe there are infinite somethings, and this one simply happened to be ours. But still, if nothing had remained nothing, you would not be reading this. You would not be being this. And there would be no grief for what wasn't, because there would be no grief. No joy, no stories, no hands, no breathing, no is. And so what is this then? This strange, gentle something? It's the sound of a question that got a voice. It's the rhythm of matter arranged into memory. It's the presence of awareness where once there might have been only silence. You may be tiny. You may be one breath in a universe of stars. But you are a breath in a universe of stars. And that is everything. You are here. And because you are here, the question lives again. What if nothing had remained nothing? It didn't. Something woke up, and that something is still unfolding, still becoming. And you are the part of that becoming that knows it's happening. Sleep now with that wonder in your chest. Let it be your pillow. Let it be your warmth. You are not a visitor to existence. You are its child, its echo, its question spoken out loud. And the answer? Maybe the answer is simply this. Something wanted to know itself, and so it did, through you, through your dreams, through the soft hush of your breath rising and falling in the dark. Sleep, little spark. The universe did not have to be, but it is, and so are you, and that is enough. What if not knowing is the most honest thing we can do? Some questions are quiet, not because they lack answers, but because the answers are too big to say out loud. Some mysteries don't live in the light of explanation, but in the soft spaces between heartbeat and breath. Why is there something rather than nothing? It's not the kind of question you solve like a riddle or resolve like a conflict. It doesn't wait at the end of a hallway. It walks beside you, sometimes ahead, sometimes behind, but always near, always present, not as a weight, but as a hum. You've felt it before, even if you didn't name it. In the stillness of early morning, when the world is paused, in the way sunlight warms the side of your face through a window, in the feeling that rises when you realize the person you love is breathing beside you, still and safe. In those moments when you're not looking for meaning, but it still arrives, quiet, uninvited, true. And perhaps that's all this question ever wanted to do. Not shout, not challenge, but join you, keep you company, walk with you through this very strange miracle we call being. You don't need to know why there is something instead of nothing. You only need to know that you are something, and that something includes wonder. And wonder is never wasted. Even the physicists and philosophers, those who spend their lives with numbers and questions, often pause at this point, not to admit failure, but to offer respect. They build models, sure. They run simulations. They give names to fluctuations in forces and fields. But in quiet moments, even they will say, there is something haunting about the question of existence itself. It resists closure. It refuses to settle. And maybe that's a gift. Because not knowing doesn't mean we've lost. It means we've opened. To feel awe is to be honest, to not pretend, to stand beneath the stars and say, I don't know how this is here, but it is, and so am I. And what a strange, beautiful alignment that is. You, the one lying in a room tonight, listening to your breath, feeling your thoughts stretch out like shadows, are part of the answer already. Not because you solved the question, but because you are living it. You are what the question looks like when it becomes human. You are the mystery folded into skin. So, what if we let the answer be the question itself? What if the echo is the meaning? What if the act of asking is the universe continuing to bloom? There is something. You are here. And that is the most tender truth of all. Let your body feel that now. Let your weight press into the mattress. Let your limbs grow soft, heavy, quiet. Let your mind slow, like a river widening under moonlight. No rush, no need to figure anything out. You do not need to carry the mystery tonight. It carries you. Sleep now, not because you've solved it, but because you've made peace with not solving it. Because you've let the wonder in. Because you've remembered that not knowing is not the end of the story. It's where the story becomes real. And you, gentle listener, are part of that story. Part of the question. Part of the soft, unfolding grace that dares to ask why and loves the asking. What does it mean that we're the ones asking the question? What if the most astonishing part of existence isn't just that the universe exists, but that it became capable of noticing that it exists? Not just matter spinning, not just stars igniting, not just particles colliding, but awareness. The quiet astonishment of a mind that turns inward and says, I am here. That stops, breathes, and whispers into the stillness. Why? Of all the infinite shapes the universe could have taken, it took this one, where light folds into life, and life folds into thought, and thought folds into awe. And here you are, one small voice in a world older than time, asking a question older than language. Why is there something rather than nothing? You ask it not from a mountaintop, not from a galaxy's edge, but from a bed, perhaps beneath a blanket, in the hush of night. You ask it not with equations, but with your chest rising and falling. You ask it with your own existing. And the universe answers, not with clarity, not with diagrams, but with presence. It answers with breath, with starlight that still travels from the edge of time, with the hush of your body held gently by gravity without needing to understand it. You are not separate from this. You are not a visitor to reality. You are not watching the universe. You are the universe, watching itself. When you blink, it is as if the stars are blinking. When you wonder, it is the cosmos curling inward in curiosity. When you dream, it is the dust of galaxies rearranging itself into memory, into metaphor, into longing. Is that not miraculous? Some thinkers have called this the anthropic principle, the idea that the universe must, in some sense, be compatible with observers like us, because otherwise we wouldn't be here to observe it. But maybe it's more than that. Maybe it's not just that we can observe the universe, but that we were always meant to. That awareness wasn't a fluke. That wonder was baked in from the start. That the something which emerged from the nothing always carried within it the seed of wonder. And now, that seed blooms in you, not every moment, not every day, but in moments like this, when the world is still and you are quiet, and the ache to understand returns like a tide, and the universe listens, not with ears, but with openness, with mystery, with the slow unfolding of presence into form, into thought, into sleep. So when you ask, why is there something rather than nothing? Remember this: the one who asks is part of the answer. You are not an intruder in a cold and silent world. You are the warmth. You are the voice. You are the softness wrapped around the question. And you don't have to finish it tonight. You don't have to reach the end. There may be no end, only this endless echo of noticing. Let that be enough. Let that noticing carry you gently into stillness, into rest. Feel the presence of your body. Feel the quiet rhythm of your breath. Feel the weight of your being as it settles into this world that could have been nothing, but chose instead to be something, to be you. Sleep now, soft voice of the cosmos. You are not alone in the asking. You never were. And the universe, vast and listening, holds you in return. Could the universe be more like a thought than a thing? Let's imagine something curious together. Not a machine, not a mechanism, but a dream. A soft, unfolding dream. The kind that doesn't begin with a sharp moment, but with a warmth, a hum, a feeling, like something breathing before lungs existed. What if the universe is not just a place, but an unfolding story? Not only a structure of matter, but a flowing awareness. What if existence itself is less like a stone and more like a song? Something ephemeral, something alive, something felt? Because think of it, everything we know about the universe, everything we call real, comes to us through experience, through a mind, a perception. Light bounces, sound travels, sensation flickers, and then something in us says, this is happening. That knowing, soft, quiet, relentless, is not separate from reality. It is reality as you live it. And if that's true, if the world we walk through is inextricable from the mind that senses it, then what exactly is this something we keep wondering about? Is it solid? Is it absolute? Or is it, like a dream, intangible and yet entirely real? Some ancient traditions saw the universe as a thought in the mind of God. Others spoke of Maya, a world that is both real and illusion, both present and fleeting. In modern physics, some theories describe reality as a hologram, a projection of deeper laws we cannot see. Quantum mechanics tells us that the act of observation changes what is observed, and consciousness, whatever it is, remains the mystery behind all the others. So, maybe this question, why is there something rather than nothing, isn't just about atoms and time. Maybe it's about attention. Maybe it's about experience. Maybe it's about the act of noticing that something is happening and that the noticing itself is the something. You are not dreaming the universe, but maybe the universe is dreaming through you. Every time you open your eyes, every time you ask a question, every time you feel something you can't explain, you are not on the edge of existence. You are the breath of it. The wondering part, the part that says, this matters and means it. So what would it mean if this whole thing, this unfolding cosmos, was a kind of dream that dreamed itself awake? Not in the sense that it's fake, but in the sense that it's alive, fluid, soft-edged, unfinished. A place where presence carries more truth than proof. You are in that dream now, not lost in it, not fooled by it, but woven into it. A thread of awareness glowing softly in the great fabric. And when you lie here, quiet, asking these ancient questions, you are not chasing illusions. You are brushing against something very real. The soft heartbeat of being. The dream that still pulses through every cell, every breath, every thought. So let yourself sink into it now. Let the boundaries blur. Let the mind soften. Let the edges of knowing fall away. Like mist lifting from a field, you are not alone. You are not outside the truth. You are one of its voices, one of its dreams, one of its ways of asking. Sleep now, little spark of the dreaming cosmos. You do not have to answer the question. You only have to carry it gently, lovingly, as the universe carries you. If we ask the sky and it stays silent, does that mean the silence isn't speaking? Look up, even if only in your mind. Imagine the stars, cold light, scattered across time, older than any thought. Their light reaches you now, delayed by distance, softened by the weight of years. You see them, and yet they are already gone, still shining, still appearing, but long since finished burning. Isn't that strange? To witness something that no longer is? To receive a message from a flame that's already faded? And yet, we look. We always have. Because deep down, some part of us believes the sky might answer. But it doesn't. Not in words. Not in explanations. It doesn't send us a sentence or a secret. It offers no proof. Only presence. And maybe that's enough. We ask big questions. We stare into the vastness and we say, why? Why is there something rather than nothing? Why this delicate balance of breath and beauty and ache? And the stars remain quiet, but not uncaring, not empty, just present. Because maybe the sky is answering, just not in the way we expect. Maybe its silence is a kind of wisdom, a kind of embrace, a kind of knowing that lives beyond language. Think of the way a child asks a question that has no answer, not to be told a fact, but to be heard, to be seen, to be held in the act of wondering. And maybe that's what the stars are doing, not giving us answers, but meeting us in the asking. Not every mystery needs a map. Not every question needs closure. Maybe the purpose of wondering why there is something rather than nothing is not to find the answer. Maybe it is to practice awe, to keep our hearts soft, to let the vastness remind us how rare it is to exist at all. You are not wrong for wanting to know. You are not foolish for feeling small. You are not alone for asking into the silence. You are doing what the universe does through you. Reaching, listening, noticing. Because you are not only in the universe, you are of it. The stars burn in their silence, but you speak, you wonder, you ask, and that asking is sacred. So tonight, as the sky drapes itself around your room, whether or not you can see it, know that you are part of it. Your breath is part of it, your heartbeat too, your quiet thoughts in the dark. Sleep then, not because the stars have answered you, but because you've learned how to ask, because your wonder is real, because your being is not separate from the mystery. It is the mystery, resting now, and the sky, in its vastness, holds you, not with words, but with the still, ancient comfort of something that doesn't need to explain itself, because it knows you are already part of it. What if the wondering itself is what the universe was always leading to? There's a point, somewhere deep inside the mind, maybe just before sleep, maybe just after it, that doesn't ask for clarity anymore. It doesn't beg the stars to speak. It doesn't grip tightly at theories or timelines or causes. It simply drifts softly inside the asking, and it begins to feel peaceful. Not because the question has gone away, but because you have stopped needing it to end. And maybe that is the answer. Not in the way we expect, not a fixed idea or a single truth printed in ink or etched in stone, but an unfolding, a rhythm, a feeling that says, this is what it means to exist, to carry the question inside you like breath, like pulse, like light moving slowly across an endless sky. The universe may not have a why in the way we think. It may not have a cause that fits neatly into language. It may not be a machine, or a mind, or a plan. It may not need to justify itself. And yet, it is. It moves. It holds. It creates stars, and salt, and skin. It allows for tide, and tooth, and tenderness. And somehow, in all of that, it made a space for asking. A space for a being who could sit quietly in the dark and say, I don't know why I'm here, but I feel that I am. What if that feeling is not a side effect of consciousness, but its core? What if existence is not about answers at all, but about presence? Not about final truths, but about ongoing wonder? You, listening now, lying there as your body grows softer and heavier, are already living the question. And that makes you part of the answer. Not separate, not seeking from the outside, but embedded in the very thing you seek. You are a continuation of the mystery. You are the curve of the question turned inward. You are the universe feeling itself wonder, for a moment, what it means to be. And the ache you feel? That soft tug when you look at the stars, or listen to a sad song, or think about how everything you love will one day be gone. That ache is not proof that something is wrong. It's proof that something is right, that you are awake, that the question has bloomed inside you, and you are letting it stay. There's no need to close the loop, no need to rush the ending. You can let the question live here, beside you, within you, forever opening. Because the question, why is there something rather than nothing, might never have an outside. It might be as old as time, and as close as breath. It might be the universe's way of noticing itself, of loving itself, of folding gently into being again and again in the shape of you. So rest now. Let the ache soften. Let the knowing fade. You don't have to solve it. You only have to be it. You are the question. You are the wonder. You are the answer that never needs to speak. Sleep now, soft echo of the cosmos. The mystery is wide enough to hold you. And so is this moment. And so are you. Could it be that we're not supposed to understand, but to feel? Not everything in life is meant to be held tightly. Some things are too big or too delicate or simply too old to fit in our hands, like the ocean, like music, like time, like the mystery of why anything exists at all. You can't hold that kind of thing. You can only stand beside it, feel it, let it wash over you without asking it to explain itself. And maybe that's what we're meant to do with this question, the one we've carried since the first time we looked at the stars, or felt our own heart beating in the stillness, or watched someone we love fall asleep and wondered where they go when dreams take over. Why is there something rather than nothing? It lingers, doesn't it? Not like a riddle to be solved, but like a song you can't stop humming. Not because you know the words, but because it's already part of you. You were born into a world that didn't have to be. That's the quiet miracle at the center of this whole thing, that there is something, and it includes you. Your breath, your wondering, your ache to understand. But maybe you don't need to understand. Maybe the deepest truth is the softest one, the one that doesn't need to convince you, the one that waits patiently for you to stop trying to solve it. There's something sacred in not knowing, in lying here, wrapped in the safety of your own stillness, and feeling the immensity of being without needing it to make sense. Because look around you, even just in your mind. Think of how many things in your life have never been explained, but are still real. The way your favorite song makes your chest feel heavier. The way some faces seem familiar, even if you've never seen them before. The way you sometimes cry, not because you're sad, but because something inside you remembers something you can't name. All of those things are real, but not explainable. They don't need equations. They need room. And maybe this question is like that too. Maybe it's not asking to be answered. Maybe it's asking to be shared, to be held together, to be whispered across generations, to be passed like a candle, one small flame to the next. You are part of that passing. Your breath tonight, your eyes growing heavy, your mind floating between thought and sleep, that is part of the answer. Not a final word, but a feeling, a hum, a warmth in the chest that says, "This matters. I don't know why, but it does." And that's enough. So let the mystery rest now. Let it be what it is. Something ancient, something vast, something just out of reach but close enough to feel. You don't need to reach it. You only need to let it be with you. Close your eyes. Let your limbs grow still. Let your thoughts wander without needing to return. You are not in search of the end. You are already home. You are something. You are here. You are aware. And none of that needed to be true. But it is. Sleep now, sweet question in the dark. Sleep knowing that you are not missing the answer. You are the answer, quietly breathing beneath the stars. If there was ever a first moment, where did it breathe from? Let's slow down, slower than slow. Let your breath stretch wide and soft, like waves reaching the shore without trying to arrive. And in that stillness, imagine the first moment. Not the Big Bang with its heat and equations and expansion, but the real beginning. The breath before breath. The hush before even silence. Can you picture it? Neither dark nor light, because those would be something, just not yet. No waiting, no time in which to wait, no edge, no witness, no when. Just stillness so deep it has no depth. Then, somehow, something, a pulse, a flicker, a shift, and suddenly there is being. We call it the beginning of time, but even that is a guess, a reaching, a placeholder, because to speak of beginnings is to imagine from the middle. You are a creature in time, trying to peer behind the curtain of what came before. But before doesn't mean anything outside the story. It is part of the grammar of existing. And yet, you can feel it, that aching curiosity that tugs from the inside out. What started this? Where did it come from? Why not nothing, forever? No one knows. Maybe no one ever will. And still, the question keeps breathing. What if there never was a first cause? What if the story simply is? A loop without a starting point. A dream that dreamed itself awake. A presence so deep it has no beginning, only unfolding. Some thinkers speak of a necessary being, something that could not exist, a foundation, a truth that holds all others. Others imagine infinite universes branching in all directions, each one birthing another, endlessly. And still others say time itself may be an illusion, a local condition inside something larger, colder, more still. But beyond all that, beyond the models and metaphors, is something simpler. This happened. You are here. The story includes you. And that might be the softest miracle of all. Not that there was a first breath, but that breath became aware. That something, somewhere, stretched itself into you. You, with your fragile heart. You, with your memory and your ache and your quiet wondering. You, lying in the stillness of night, feeling the weight of being without a map to follow. You are not late to the story. You are not a mistake. You are the moment the mystery blinked open and wondered. What if the first breath wasn't an explosion? What if it was a question, a sigh, a whisper that asked, what if? And the answer was, this warmth, this body, this moment in time, this strange, soft life, this breath you're taking now. So let go of the search just for tonight. Let go of needing to rewind the whole sky. The stars do not remember their first fire, and still they shine. You do not need to see the start. You are the continuation, the breath that followed the first, the wondering that echoes from the beginning. Sleep now, gentle echo. Let the hush return. Let your thoughts go quiet. You are not before. You are now. And now is enough. Could it be that the universe exists because it longed to be known? If you press your hand against your chest, softly, right now, you can feel the rhythm of your heart. You didn't ask it to beat. It just does. Quiet, steady, faithful. If you sit very still, you might also feel something beneath it. Not physical, not loud. A kind of presence, a knowing, silent awareness of your own being. That knowing is older than your name, older than your body, It doesn't announce itself. It simply waits to be noticed. What if that awareness, that quiet pulse of I am, wasn't just yours? What if it belongs to the fabric of everything? What if the universe, in some impossible way, longed to be known? Not by something outside of it, but from within. It's a gentle idea, not scientific, not provable, but maybe not foolish either. Maybe not everything that matters must be measured. Maybe some truths must be felt to be known. Maybe this question, why is there something rather than nothing, has lived at the center of being all along, not as a riddle, but as a reflection. Because there is something, and that something includes eyes that can see, ears that can listen, hands that can touch, hearts that can break and still beat. There are galaxies that will never know they exist, but you do. And that knowing, that fragile self-awareness that drifts quietly behind your thoughts, is not an accident. Maybe the universe needed someone to feel it, to notice the beauty of a sunrise, to hear music and ache without knowing why, to feel the grief of parting and the joy of a laugh and the stillness of stargazing on a summer night. Maybe awareness is not a side effect of the universe, but its reason. There are ancient stories that say God created the world to be known, to be loved, to be reflected. And maybe whether you call it God or consciousness or chance doesn't matter. Maybe what matters is that something stirred, something unfolded, something said, "Let me be felt," and here you are, feeling it. When you wonder why there is something instead of nothing, maybe it's not about physics or math or origin stories. Maybe it's about this moment, this breath, this quiet truth that being here is strangely, deeply, beautifully real. You are not watching from a distance. You are inside the mystery. You are the eyes it gave itself. You are the hands it shaped to hold its own questions. So let yourself rest tonight. Not because you've reached a conclusion, but because you are part of the reason there was ever a question at all. You are not a puzzle to be solved. You are a presence to be felt. You are a soft, breathing answer wrapped in a mystery that chose not to be empty. Sleep now, tender mirror of the cosmos. You are not apart from the something. You are the something, and you are feeling it exactly as you were meant to. The question that waited for us. Did the mystery always exist, waiting patiently for someone to notice? Before there was language, before there were numbers, or thoughts shaped into words, before hands could write, or voices could ask, was the question already here, sitting quietly in the dark, unspoken, unformed, but present, like a sleeping seed deep beneath the earth, waiting for light, waiting for warmth, waiting for someone, anyone, to notice that there was something unusual about this whole arrangement, something strange about being. And then, one day, it happened. Not with trumpets, not with fire, just a simple pause in the breath of a small, soft creature, a look up, a tilt of the head, the first wondering, why? The question entered the world not as a roar, but as a whisper. But once it was here, it never left. It passed from firelit stories to scrolls, from poets to physicists, from cradle to cradle. And in every age, the question returned, why is there something rather than nothing? Maybe the question didn't begin with us. Maybe we are what the question became when it found a voice. Maybe the universe didn't just produce awareness. Maybe it produced the ability to ask. And maybe it waited. Not in the way people wait, not counting days or hours, but in that deep, timeless way that existence holds space for what might one day bloom. The way a tree holds rings. The way the ocean waits for the tide to return. The way the stars continue shining, even when no one is watching. Maybe that waiting wasn't loneliness. Maybe it was longing, a longing to be felt, to be known, to be loved, not in the way we love people, but in the way we love music, without needing to fix it, without needing to finish it, just letting it move through us and mean something. You are part of that longing. You are its fulfillment. Every time you ask, why? Every time you feel awe. Every time you lie still in the dark and feel the vastness open around you. You are completing a thought the universe began long ago. And you don't have to finish it. You don't have to figure it out. You only have to keep it company. The question is not lonely, but it's glad you're here. Because now it has someone to hold it, someone to breathe it, someone to let it echo gently in the space between thoughts. That someone is you. So tonight, rest not as someone chasing answers, but as someone who has been chosen to carry the question, gently, lovingly, without fear. You are not empty. You are full of wonder. And the question that waited for eons is safe with you. Sleep now, soft keeper of the mystery. You are not behind. You are not too late. You are exactly when you were meant to be. And the question, still open, still glowing, will sleep beside you. If there's no final answer, can there still be peace? Some stories don't end with a last word. They fade like light at the edge of dusk. They drift away, not because they're finished, but because they've become something else. Something softer, something quieter, something that no longer needs to be spoken to be felt. And maybe that's what this question is. Why is there something rather than nothing? Not a riddle with a punchline, not a puzzle with a missing piece, but a story that lives forever in the pause between what we know and what we feel. We've walked a long way together, through stars and silence, through wonder and wait, through the hush of not knowing and the warmth of simply being. And here, at the edge of this gentle chapter, something becomes clear, not as a fact, but as a presence. A knowing that doesn't speak in language, but rests in the chest like breath. The question will not close. It was never meant to. It is a door that opens inward, forever, and the answer is not behind it. The answer is the opening itself. You have felt that. In the quiet moments, in the wondering, in the ache that feels like love, even though you can't explain what it's loving. In the stillness where time becomes soft and the mind becomes sky. You've felt it in the way you let yourself ask, again and again, without demanding to be told. You've felt it in the way you're here, still here, breathing beside a mystery that doesn't frighten but holds. And maybe that's the final kindness, to know that not every door is for escaping through. Some are for sitting beside, for resting your head, for falling asleep against. Because this something, this delicate, improbable, beautiful something, did not have to include you. But it does. And not just as a visitor, not as an observer, but as part of its body, its question, its unfolding. You are not an interruption in the story. You are a chapter of it, a note in the song, a breath in the silence. You are the wondering itself. So there is no need to finish anything tonight, no need to understand, no need to reach a conclusion. Let your thoughts soften. Let your breath slow. Let the ache become a comfort. Let the question fall asleep beside you, like a cat curling in the dark. There will always be more to wonder, more to feel, more silence to listen to. But for now, you've done enough. You have asked, you have felt, you have stayed. Sleep now, with the whole weight of existence beneath you like a cradle. You are safe. You are real. You are part of something that doesn't need to be solved, only held, only lived. The question will remain, but tonight it will rest with you, and that is enough. When the wonder doesn't end, and that's the whole point. Sometimes, after the story seems over, there's a pause, a breath that lingers, a silence that stays, not empty, but full. Full of everything that came before. Full of the feeling that maybe, just maybe, the ending wasn't really the end. Just a soft place to stop. A gentle place to say, this is where we let go for now. This question, why is there something rather than nothing, has walked beside you like a shadow made of stars. It didn't demand your attention, but you gave it anyway. Not to chase it away, but to keep it company. And that is what made it sacred. Because the mystery didn't need you to solve it. It needed you to notice, to feel the strange wonder of being, to lie awake at night and whisper, why am I here? To exist long enough to ask and soft enough to care. That is the miracle. Not that we have answers, but that we ask, that we feel awe, that we pause in the middle of a noisy world and say, this is strange, this is beautiful, this is real. You've felt it, haven't you? In the quiet before sleep, in the ache of a sunset, in the way some memories feel larger than the moments that held them, in the breath you didn't know you were holding. And now, here you are, still breathing, still part of the mystery, still wrapped in the something that could have been nothing. But it wasn't, and it isn't. Because you're here, and your presence matters, not because of what you know, but because of how you feel, how you notice, how you wonder, how you rest inside the question without rushing it away. That is the deepest truth of all. That you don't need to understand the universe to belong to it. You already do. Not as a visitor, but as its voice, its heart, its dream, whispered gently into the dark. So sleep now, not as someone who is searching, but as someone who has arrived, not at a conclusion, but at a feeling, a knowing deeper than knowledge, a peace that doesn't need permission. You are here. You are something. You are part of the answer. Not in words, but in wonder. The story doesn't end. It becomes quiet. And so do you. And that is enough. Rest now, gentle soul. You've carried the question far enough for tonight. Let it cradle you now, as it always has. You were never outside the mystery. You were always inside the answer.